Hello, welcome to another tutorial. We're gonna talk about how to set up virtual reality in Unreal Engine 4 for the VIVE controller. Probably you can apply lots of the concepts here to another controllers. As a quick thing before we start, we have to make sure that we've enabled the plugins for VR and the Steam controller. There are two plugins that we need to enable. Now, either the pawn or the character component, which inherits from pawn, or the player controller, or both, can receive the controller button clicks. So on the controller, you have lots of buttons. It's like mouse clicks, for example. You can put them in your pawn character or in your player controller. I have not tried to receive them directly in actors, because technically actors can receive mouse clicks, so that may be possible, but I'm not really interested in that. I don't see why I would need to do that in this case. Now, the motion controller component is needed to capture the motion of the controller. There is something called motion controller, like there is something called actor. It's not needed for buttons. You need that to capture the motion in 3D space. For buttons, you can set up specific triggers just like you do with your mouse. The motion of the controller can be visualized through several components. You see this box here? What you need is a scene, and in the scene you need the camera for the scene, and you need a motion controller. This motion controller will receive your input, and if you put a static mesh inside the controller, then as you move your controller, you will see the static mesh moving along with it in location and rotation. You can optionally add particle effects for laser beams, for example, or you can add a widget interaction within the static mesh. You can also add widget interaction outside the static mesh. The reason why it's inside the static mesh in this case is, imagine you're changing different weapons. You may have a knife and a gun, and you want the knife to interact differently with a widget than a gun would interact with it. So you can do a few things there. You can replace that in real time and get different interaction, but we'll talk about these two in different tutorials. Now, a few things about the VR environment. You really need to maintain 90 frames per second for the VIVE, for Steam. To monitor that, you can execute stat FPS, for example, at the begin play to see your frame rate. You can check the documentation from Unreal, and I put here the exact link for system settings, which we will actually do in the example in the video. But you're also recommended to read the whole thing at the VR setup. Disable shadows whenever you can for good performance. And if you notice that Unreal Engine is maintaining the frames per second at 45, that doesn't mean you're not close to 90. You could be at 80, but it will drop it to 45. It won't actually be doing 80. It will be capable, for example, of doing 80, but it will do 45. It will only jump to 90 if it can sustain that. If you cannot maintain 45, then it will slow down to whatever speed it needs to slow down to, and it will go as fast as possible. Now, to do the live exercise, I will end this video and start another video to maintain a good size of the video.